to the pilot episode of Garage. I'm Brian Warhol, aka Speedy.
I'm Shelly Malarkey. Let's meet our sidekick, Zizi.
On Garage we'll cover topics that are auto-related and has a lot to do with the automotive hobby. We'll go visit with fabricators so you can see where you start with a custom car, how the process starts. We'll go visit fabricators, engine builders, body and paint shops, interior shops. We're even going to get to the point we'll talk about the proper collector car insurance for your car.
On our Car Chow section, we're going to go visit bars and restaurants that people visit when they're frequenting on their car cruises.
And we'll also go out and visit some neat car collections and automobilia collections around town, as well as sit down and talk to some really cool people.
Really cool people. We're going to meet some car clubs. We're going to talk about past car shows that we've done and what's coming up next.
Good. On our first episode, we're going to start with some coverage from some car shows that we attended this summer. First off was the Full Throttle car show that was held on Sunday, August 22nd at the Shortstop Bar and Grill in Fridley. About 8 years ago, they had a car show there. It was the only time they had one, and they decided they wanted to do another one. So we're calling this the first annual. Speedy and Spit teamed up with Ray and Tanya McManus, the owners of the Shortstop Bar and Grill, as well as Bill and Janet Popejoy, to host this show. We had 123 cars show up, and we did judging a little different. We did it in categories like best engine, best interior, best paint, best car, best bike, best rat rod. Shelly and Zizi, you were both at that show. What did you think of that judging system?
Well, I thought the different categories really worked well because it made people think as they were walking around looking at the cars and look at the cars a little deeper than they usually do when they're out looking at a car show. They had to look for the best paint because it was all voted on by the participants.
I liked it because you did have to get up and move around instead of just sit in your lawn chair and say, all right, car number 12, car number 7. I thought it was neat to do it that way. And it kept some of those people that just vote for all of their friends from winning. Next, we'll talk about the Car Crazy car show that was held in conjunction with the Bloomington Heritage Days. That was on Saturday, September 21st. The weather was a little iffy. In fact, it did start raining at the end of the show, which held the car count down. We did have top 10 voting, and what I liked about, and also People's Choice. And what I liked about that show was the location. It was really neat because tying it in with that festival. They had a beer garden, they had live music, they had bingo, they had a lot of vendors and a lot of games. And what I liked about it also was that It was right on Lyndale Avenue South, from like 98th to 99th and Lyndale. So as everybody drove up and down Lyndale Avenue, they were able to see the cars.
going to talk about the Fleet Farm Car Show. A couple months back, Fleet Farm had contacted the GSTA Car Club, asked them if they'd help host their show there. It was September 22nd, and for our first show, we knocked it out of the park. We had 280 cars registered. They kept moving the cones back and moving the cones back. They had everything from a
1906.
Not even a
1906 Cadillac.
That's crazy. To a 2019 Hellcat.
Yes.
It was an incredible show.
It was, I mean, we started giving the awards out at 1:30, and cars were still coming in. I bet you 20 cars came in while we were handing out the awards.
They gave out a bunch of great prizes. It was a great time.
I thought it was a good show.
ZZ, do you have anything to add on that?
Well, the trophies worked pretty well. We had the top 20. We also had Best Bike and Fleet Farm's Choice, and they want to do it again next year, so plan ahead, folks, for next year's show. Also, they plan to have more food trucks and more space. Back to you guys.
we'll start with our first door prize drawing. That's a $25 gift card to Fleet Farm. And that goes to car number 244, Dave Ostrowski, with a 2010 Corvette. Dave Ostrowski, car number 244, you won a door prize. And we do already have a date set for that. It'll be Sunday, September 20th, 2020.
Very cool. In our first car chow, Zizi and I wandered over to the Wagner's Drive-In. We ordered some food, and I think it's going to be a good time. Jimmy, it's been a great night, and I'm getting hungry.
Okay, I'm with you, Shell. I think we should place an order. What do you think?
Let's go for it, Zizi.
Hi, may I take your order?
Well, I'm thinking about a burger basket.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. We need onion rings.
Okay. Make that a big basket of onion rings with that.
We all. Let's get Brian a big chocolate shake.
Sounds good to me.
Did you get all that?
I got it, so I got a hamburger basket with a large onion ring and a large chocolate cake.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you shortly.
See, is this what you ordered, ZZ?
It looks like it. Missing a couple of onion rings. I think somebody took a couple.
Well, Monday nights at Wagner's Drive-In is always a ball. All summer long, we get together with friends and just hang out on the lawn, get to know each other. It's always a fun Monday night.
What's great is anybody can show up, whether you got a car or not, and you have a good time. Everybody becomes a Wagniter.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Yep. It's the funny thing about Wagner's is every time it's a new show. There's always new cars, old cars. It's always a great time.
And we support a good guy, Jimmy.
So we're here at Wagner's Drive-In with the owner, Jim Wagner. We just wanted to touch base with him and thank him for all he does for the car community and just get to know him.
Thanks for, thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, so we've been coming here for a good 15 years. How long have you been here?
Well, I bought this property in 1985, so we've been in business since 1971. We originally started in St. Louis Park off Highway 7.
Yes.
We took the property was closed for a couple of years. It was the old Oakville Drive, and then we bought it, and well, needless to say, I was a child and pretty much grew into the business. Back then, we used to shut down during winter, and because of mainly high school. So shortly after that, I'm not exactly sure when we started getting around, but as they redesigned Highway 7, we went to look for another piece of property. The realtor I was working with introduced me to this property. So we've been in this location since 85.
Okay. So Wagner's Burger has been around a long time.
It's been around a long time.
So what is the biggest change you've seen in all those years?
Not really much. I mean, I've added a lot of new sandwiches, a lot of new ideas. We have like the jalapeno burger. We've got the Wrangler. And we do patty melt. A lot of people like the patty melt. I have grilled chicken sandwiches. I tried shrinking my menu at one time. We got ham and cheeses. We got all kinds of things. And there are so many customers that tell me, don't mess. That's my sandwich. And they're very in it. And I did a little survey to find out where people were coming from. Unbeknownst to me, I've got weekly truck drivers that come all the way up from Illinois that this is the place to stop. I've got families and other things like that. People come from all over and all the do. And it's, I mean,
People come from all over looking for that way in their school.
well, I can be some people that's working. That's the other comment, this is how many people have gone on and come back and says, oh, you're still here.
I've seen that many times.
As you've seen earlier, there was a family that came from Silver's Park that decided they wanted to go to drive-ins. And this time of the year, most of them were starting to close down, but I'm year round. They brought the family and the birthday party for one of the girls. She, her favorite fondest memories was that store in Silver's Park. They're not open.
So they can do it. That's good. So you've been making the burger the same way for all these years?
Yes, we hand butter our burgers. Get burger meat in, and portion it out, and press it. We don't press tons of meat ahead of time, we do it fresh. And that way it's a fresher burger. And we don't, so there's practical all around. So we make our own coleslaw sauce. We have our own seasoning for the chicken. We have a bunch of stuff. As you know, you guys have been involved in the catering outside.
But Jim, one of the things that I always like in the wintertime is your soup. Tell me about your soup.
I make a homemade wild rice soup. Everything is from scratch. We take the chicken, make the chicken stock, take the wild rice. Lately it's been harder for me to get buy the Indian wild rice, so I buy more gourmet. But we've been making soup for, I don't know, quite a bit. I mean, it's something that's all natural. I don't have any additives or preservatives.
And it's all made right here. So, we're talking about wintertime and what you do to stay busy during the wintertime.
I do catering.
Catering.
There's a lot of companies that will call me for holiday feeds and other things. My dad was a car manager for quite a few years out of Grossman Chef. And in order for Saturday to keep the men around, instead of letting them go out and get their own food, or let them leave the property because you never know when customers were coming in, we would make food and deliver it to them. From there, it's progressed. And you guys, you and your husband, Bob, and helped me. I also do fundraisers for different groups. Done one for 900. We've done, you name it, we've done it all.
So you do catering, you serve chicken or?
Everything.
Everything.
I do, depending what they want. I had one group that wanted 420 bowls of chili.
Oh.
And that's 42 gallons of chili minimum. And I can show you how to deliver 42 gallons of chili.
So you do a lot of catering to keep you busy?
Yeah, I think I'll help out whatever. And then the local Lions clubs and all them, that activities that they do. As you can hear, my ice cream machine going on.
Yep, absolutely. Making ice cream. So you mentioned your dad. Is that this gentleman up
That's my
here?
father, Ed White. And
Okay.
he's the patriarch of the family.
So it's been a family business since it started.
It's been, right. My mom used to work with me in St. Louis Park forever. Part of the reason we got rid of the store in St. Louis Park was not only because of my health, was my mom got to do it. She couldn't do it all the time like she was. She just couldn't. These are long days. These are 18-hour days minimum. And if anybody's been in the other end of the food, or been into the food business, they can tell you that it's, you got to be there, and you got to keep going. You never know how busy you're going to be and how much endurance you have to have.
Great. So we were here tonight. We saw people ordering the hamburgers and the onion rings. Those onion rings look great.
Like I said, we've been around forever, and we're oldest continuing restaurants in Brooklyn Park. I can see that. Well, since 85 in this location, we've been in business since 71. So that's a milestone in itself.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's, yeah. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of great people that I meet. It's the community, and the customer base is the community. You get to meet a lot of phenomenal people.
Good. Well, I just want to encourage you to stop down this winter and come on in, sit in the dining room, and order the soup, the chicken wild rice soup, and keep this business going in the wintertime.
Wagner's best burgers ever. Agreed.
Keep doing what you said.
Why don't you give us a wrap up of how that benefit went?
Well, it was just this last Sunday, the 27th of October, and you couldn't ask for a better turnout from the police to the fire department to churches to people came out of the woodwork that Jim's known through the years, and it put a lot of people into tears, and it did what we wanted to do to show him how much he was appreciated.
Yeah.
You know, I was reading some of the Facebook posts the day after, and one lady said you could not believe the amount of love that was in that room that day.
Absolutely. Well, a little bit of a background on Jim Wagner is he's been that car show, the car...
Go-to place.
Absolutely. The drive-in has been around for years, and it's one of the last drive-ins left in the Twin Cities area, on the north end especially. And he just supports the local community like crazy. He helps, he felt deployed servicemen, the Children's Hospital. He does a lot for others. They always say, you get what you give, and that was a little bit of that loving that he gives to everybody else. He got some of that back that day. It was really great.
Karma came back and bit him in the backside.
This is the National Guard. They're now deployed to Afghanistan again, and they've asked me a couple of times when they do the deployment for the families that they asked me to help, and I'll go to my vendors and I'll make darn certain, whatever they don't provide to me, I'll gladly provide on the side. And most of the times it'll start off with them donating me. Well, one year they donated me all this hamburger, and so we made tacos, and we served 350 people, and then and so forth. And I don't want them to see a dime charge on that, because these guys are sacrificing over a year of their life. And, however, that being said, when these guys come back, I'd like to do a steak dinner for them. I'd like to turn around, talk to a couple vendors, and when that happens, I don't care if it's 900 to 1,000 people. I'm going to go to the same vendors that make verbal commitments, and we'll try to do basically a feed for these guys, because I want them to know that they are greatly appreciated. And that's the Red Bulls and all the different foods.
I gotta tell a funny story. When it was over and people were starting to leave, I said to him, anybody from St. Louis Park area show up? Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah, see those two gals over there? They're just walking out the door. He said, in high school, they wouldn't have anything to do with me. They shunned me. I liked them, and they wouldn't have anything to do with me. But they came here today to support me.
That's cool.
That's cool. There was a lot of great stories presented. There was a family that got a hold of us before the benefit to see what they can do to help. Jim had helped when their son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. He helped them plan their fundraising event for a walk that they did. He gave them shirts, he provided the food, and he didn't even know them. He just heard about their story, and he just gave the love.
Well, somebody came up to me that day and said, I've never been to the drive-in. I couldn't point the man out in here, but I just felt it was a cause, being a car guy, that I had to support.
Cool stories. Makes you feel good.
Yeah. And we're back. I've got Brooklyn Park resident Gary Gator Jung here to show us some of the artwork that he's done in the style of Ed Big Daddy Roth. Welcome, Gator.
Thank you, Brian.
Let's talk a little bit about what you've been doing with your artwork. How did this all start? When did it start?
Well, it started about 35 years ago. I was working at the railroad, and I was getting bored with the whole works, and I started going back to the car shows and just saw some people airbrushing T-shirts. And I said, hey, I used to draw. So I bought some reference books and started airbrushing, and then started with small shows and went a little bit larger. And did that for about 25, 26 years. And then I started doing some hand painting stuff, which you see here.
Well, let's go all the way back to that 35 years ago. Do you remember the first thing that you did? The first piece of art that you did?
I did something for my older brother, and I put a Radfink on top of a G2000 Pontiac. And it was horrible. It was horrible. But I kept working at it and kept practicing, and like I said, it all kind of grew to this point, doing hand painting stuff also.
Well, why don't you go show us some of this stuff and kind of go through what it is.
Okay, well, obviously around Halloween time, I get calls and orders for crazy stuff on pumpkins. That's always a lot of fun to do. And
now this is a styrofoam pumpkin.
Correct.
How about real ones? You do real pumpkins?
Actually, sometimes they do call and they just want something for their Halloween party and stuff. And so this lasts you all year round, and bring it out next year, and it's all ready to go.
Well, and I know that you are a Halloween fanatic, so that makes sense. It looks like it doesn't make any difference. You'll paint and draw on anything.
Pretty much. It's all the way from gas cans to saw blades, round ones and old hand ones. And also I just got something brought in to do a fire extinguisher. And so as long as it sits on my table long enough, I can paint it.
Obviously, I know you've done a couple of mailboxes for me in the past, so I tell people when they're coming to my house, look for the house that's got the flamed mailbox in front of it. So,
right.
Some of the other things that you do, I see some of your artworks back here on the wall.
Yes, in fact, each year I do get commissioned to do a calendar artwork for a Pacific car club. So I do this every year, and also with other companies. And so that really keeps me busy. And
so what do? They give you a picture of the cars?
Nope, they just give me an idea. They tell me what type of cars they'd like in this in the scene, and I sketch something up, and then we tweak it, and then I go with that, and it's all marker and acrylics.
And you've got plenty of reference materials to go by. So
yeah.
You paint, you draw, you airbrush. What else do you do? I know you've started a new line last year. Tell us about that.
What I'm doing is old school iron-ons, and what it is I went with the full color iron-on, and this is all marker right here, and then I'll give this to the silk screener, and they'll add the fonts to it and put it on paper. And I really like that old 60s look, so I went with the full colors like that. And once someone picks out what size shirt they want, I put it right on iron it right on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's cool. I know that I saw last year you were at a show and you'd said you'd sold about 30 of those.
Right, and I have 4 different designs right now, and I have 4 more in the works.
Cool.
So we'll be kind of ready to go for next car season.
Good. I have to tell a funny story. I've known this guy for about 30 years. Oh, no, more than that. 35 to 40 years that I've known him. In fact, when we were in junior high and I was in 9th grade and he was in 7th grade, in the art class, I was his art aide. So I'm kind of proud of what he's ended up doing here after all these years. I think that's really neat.
Hey guys, I just heard you talking. So, I came up with a great idea.
Oh boy.
I want to see what you guys can do in 30 seconds. The art student and the art aide.
And the art aide, the mentor and the student.
Okay.
All right,
The mentor
okay.
and the student.
All right, well,
I
let's
brought you
see.
a couple clipboards. Let's see what you got.
All right,
So how much time?
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
All right.
Go.
Go.
I don't want to distract them.
No, it's got to be almost up. I think I'm
And
about
stop.
done. I'm about done.
Oh, really? Okay. Ta-da.
Who should go first? What do you got? Nice, hot rod.
Me?
Thanks.
What do you got? Oh,
I guess the mentor still has it.
guess you're pretty speedy.
There you got it.
Very good. Very good.
That was fun, you guys.
Thanks for joining us.
No, thank you.
It was great. Love the
you.
artwork. Hey, can we take one of these saws and hang on our backdrop? You know, this is a garage.
You absolutely can.
All right, we'll take one of
Your
those and
choice.
figure out which one we're going to hang on our wall.
That's it for this episode of Garage. Tune in next month.
Where we'll highlight the 2019 SEMA show. ZZ and I are going to take a trip down to Belle Plaine, Minnesota and preview the 2020 Corvette. We're going to have Chevy's Best Car Club in to highlight them. And we're going to visit the 5-8 Club in Champlin for our car chow segment.
Car chow. See you next month.
One last thing. I want to thank you for drawing that barrel that you did for Wagner's benefit last weekend.
Absolutely, my friend.
Man, that,
Oh, it was a big hit. The whole place was talking about it.
Fantastic.
That was fantastic.
I think that barrel really raised a lot of money.
It absolutely
Awesome.
did.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you.